Hello YouTube, Canadian Edge here. Time to review another knife. And the knife that we have on the table today, it's new to me, this brand. I have never heard of it before. It's Yobo Aurora. So Yobo is the manufacturer, and I believe they're out of China. If I remember right, I did read quickly about them. It has a blade length of 3.5 inches. Open, it is 8.1 inches. And closed, it is 4.5 inches long. So it is a bigger knife. The steel on this is, they say it's a VG10, which is a decent steel. Really good steel. I have no problem with VG10. And the weight on this is 4.63 ounces. The handle is a G10 with the racing stripe on there. And you got the two-tone blade and stripe on the handle. And it is a bit textured for grip purposes. If you can see that. I don't have the greatest light. Sorry about that. And the pocket clip, oh sorry, it does have stainless steel liners that are not milled, but it's not super heavy, although, well, 4.63 ounces, heavy enough. The pocket clip, it is a right hand tip up, they say titanium. Oh, I should add a magnet. I could have seen. But they quote it as titanium, the company. It is a flipper opening with liner lock. It's recessed there a little bit. And it does have a lanyard hole at the back and some jimping on the back of the blade. Very minimal jimping, if you can see that. And it has a ball bearing pivot. Now, I was curious about this knife because here in Canada, getting a knife with VG10 steel for under $100 is not an easy accomplishment. And this knife was, what was it, 55 or something dollars. So I thought, I gotta check this out. I forgot to mention it's mostly open spine with a back spacer at the end there. Anyway, back to the VG10. Yeah, I was quite surprised here in Canada to find VG10 under $100, and so I had to check it out, and I like the knife. It seems to be a decent knife so far. It has good action on it and almost drop close. It's been impressive so far. And you can see that it does line up. It's pretty much centered there. If my light, I don't know. Anyway, it is centered. Black blade on a black background. And there is no real blade play when you, well, there is none. So that's a good thing. I like to have it sit nice and solid in the knife. So size comparison. How big is this knife? Well, 8 inches. It's going to be a fairly big knife. So we get the Rat 2. And you can see it's got a fair bit of size on that. And the Benchmade Bug Out. It's definitely bigger than those two guys. And so we'll grab a couple of the bigger knives. See how they fare. We've got the Spyderco Tenacious. So it's it's still got a bit of size on the tenacious there. You can see it close to 1/2 inch. And the Civivi Cogent, which, yeah, it's probably 1/4 inch, somewhere around there, longer than the Cogent. So it is a good size knife. And sharp wise, what does it do sharp wise? How sharp did they get that VG10? Now we'll get some paper here and see what happens. Oh, it doesn't seem to like. Oh, there we go. Time for some new paper, I think. This is getting pretty beat up, this paper. So it does cut. And let's try on the zip tie and see how that works for us. Got a feeling it's going to try and ride up the blade. Yep. So it did go through there. A little more effort than I would have liked. So I might have to work on the edge on this. Although, yeah, it isn't as sharp as I'd like to see it. It's still sharp enough. Wouldn't drag my finger across that. And it cut through the fake paramilitary cord quite easily. But not quite as sharp as I would like to see it. So that might have to go through the sharpener. So the things that I liked about this knife, I like the aesthetics. The color combination looks really good. Has a bit of a wow factor for me. I just kind of like the racing stripe on there. I'll learn to speak English. And I like the black on the blade with the two-tone there. That's kind of nice for me. I like that. I think it looks pretty smart. I don't know if I would throw it in the gentleman knife category, possibly. But I just thought it was a smart looking knife. The ergonomics on it, they're not too bad. It feels like a very straight knife, which if you're slicing this way would be fine. But it's not quite as ergonomic as some of the knives that I have. But it's fine. It'll do the job that it needs to do. The pivot on it, very impressed with the pivot. It is very smooth. Opened out of the box, no issues, and not quite a drop close, but it comes down pretty good. I have almost cut my finger with it coming down. And the grip on it, it is quite comfortable. The pocket clip, it is a long pocket clip with very little rise there at the end, more so there. So you don't necessarily notice the pocket clip as much as you do on some knives. Again, I'm a medium-sized hand, so you can see my hand just fits within these two grooves. So a bigger hand, you might be more towards the end. Well, you definitely would be more towards the end of the knife, but you should hopefully still find it to be fairly comfortable. And a bigger hand, you'd probably notice the raised pocket clip a little more. And things that I'm not all that crazy about, it's not quite a deep carry, as you can see. So that much of the knife sticks up when, try and get that in the camera. That much of the knife sticks up when you have it in your pocket. So quite a bit of the knife actually protrudes out of your pocket. And the flipper tab, it is a large flipper tab. And if you've heard Nick Shabazz talk about flipper tabs. He calls them a pocket pecker. That is a big one. You definitely notice that in your pocket. When you put your hand in your pocket, you hit that pretty darn quick. So that is a big flipper tab. And even for opening it, it doesn't need to be that big. You definitely could have got away with half the size of that. And so, yeah, not really great about that. It's okay in the pocket, but you really do notice the tab. Otherwise, if that was a smaller, because of the slim lines, it would fit really good in the pocket. But because of the flipper tab, yeah, not as comfortable as it should be. And also, not super crazy, the liner lock is really hard to get at. It's almost a frame lock, the way they've got this thing set up. But it's flush, and so you're pretty much catching it with your thumbnail, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does, you can't really see the light on mine. It does put a dent in your thumb after a while, and it's just not super easy to get to. But overall, it's a nice knife for 50 some bucks. Put a little better edge on the VG10, and you have yourself a really good everyday carry knife, I would think. And a smart looking knife too. Yeah, a lot of people that I've showed it to have thought it looks good and works well. So yeah, that is the Yobo Aurora. You can check out Yobo Knives. They do have a online website as well that you can check out. And the only place that I've seen them sold in Canada was Blades Canada or Warriors and Wonders, and had never heard of them before, but yeah, they seem to make a decent knife. So Yobo Aurora. All right, that is it for this review. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'll be doing another review in a couple days. Until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.